Part 3 of migrating your app to Polymer. I am actually doing these videos for myself. It's a walkthrough. I haven't gone through this migration guide. This is the first time I'm going through this migration guide. So it will be a slow, it's almost like live coding, actually. So it is meant as more of a guide for myself and my team, nothing more than that. So if you at times you'll see that it's going really slow, it's not because I'm making this video professionally. I'm making this video as a walkthrough to see how long it takes, hence the slowness. So I'm not an expert in migrating apps. This is the first app I'm migrating, so it will be a little slow. Just wanted to give you a heads up. If you're not interested in watching it move slowly, you can always fast forward or not watch it, I guess. If you like it, please let me know. Thank you, and I'm going to get started. I think the last thing I was looking at is changing the custom styles. I changed the custom styles of whatever elements. Basically, I finished this step, wrapped custom style elements. I wrapped the custom style elements in the custom style tag now. Now I'll go through these DOM APIs. These DOM APIs, let's see what they have to say. They're saying hybrid elements must continue to use existing Polymer DOM APIs, but may require some changes. Looks like if I have hybrid elements, hybrid elements must continue to use existing Polymer DOM APIs. So they're saying, I don't want any hybrid elements, but looks like they're recommending that I convert my elements to hybrid first and then to Polymer 2.0 legacy elements. But I'll see. I'm trying to directly convert them to Polymer legacy elements that will work in Polymer 2.0. So I'm not going to go back and use Polymer 1. So for me, it doesn't make sense to create a hybrid. None of my elements. I don't want to convert any of my elements in the large application that I have to be an hybrid element, because I mean, I will not be using it. I don't have to make it backward compatible. Anyway, so let's see what they have to see. Class-based element should use native DOM APIs. Okay. So if your element does not do imperative DOM manipulation, you can skip this section. So in a lot of cases, we do DOM manipulation in the code. So we'll see. Hybrid elements should continue to use Polymer DOM APIs, but may require some changes. Understood? Legacy elements can use Polymer DOM APIs or the native DOM APIs. Class-based elements should use native DOM APIs. They're saying class-based elements should use native DOM APIs. Okay. So I'm trying to get to this area. I don't want a hybrid element. I'm trying to see like if I can get this working with legacy elements, and then later I'll convert everything to class-based elements. So like they're saying, legacy can use both Polymer DOM APIs or the native DOM APIs, which is what I want. Hybrid elements. Update Polymer DOM usage. Hybrid elements need to keep using Polymer DOM API. However, note that in 2.0, for native methods and properties that return a node list, Polymer.DOM APIs also return node list, not array. So I'll have to see what kind of changes this will involve. I think we do have places where we try to get the node list. I don't know if we are getting it as an array or is it a node list at this point. If you're using native array methods on the returned object, you need to update your code. Okay. So looks like if I have any code like this, then it's a problem. So let me go and search my entire code base to see if I have anything like that. Okay, so I have multiple places where I have that kind of code. So they're saying I can't do something like this. Is that what they're saying? So this returns a node list is what they're saying. So let's see. Nodes.filter function. So they're saying if it is a legacy element, legacy elements can optionally use native APIs for standard DOM. So I don't want to convert this to a legacy elements may continue using Polymer DOM APIs or move to native methods. Okay. So because this is I'm trying to say this is a legacy element, I don't think this applies to me. But let me see what they have to say. If I have to use the native DOM, let me see what they recommend. For standard DOM operations, remove the Polymer DOM wrapper. Use this.shadow in place of polymer.dom this root. Okay. So they're saying instead of this, I could just use this.shadow. Okay. For events, use standard v1 event API. DOM event of target. So I don't have anything like that. I don't do it. So I think this I might have to take a look at this and see. Okay. I'm going to use this link. Okay, so I might have to check how to retrieve from node list. We'll see how that goes. Anyway, so I changed this. I changed one occurrence of this. So like basically, they're saying instead of doing a call like this, they're saying I can just do something like this dot shadow root. Okay, so is there another occurrence of it? Another occurrence of it. So this dot location dot shadow root. Okay, what is this dot location dot root? It's not doing any syntax highlighting. I don't know what I messed up, but maybe I should open this project in. I don't know what I changed. Maybe I should open this project in. Okay, so let me make the change here also. So why did this not change? Okay. Okay, where are we? This dot location dot root. Okay, this dot dollar dot location dot root. I want to get to the shadow root of this dot location. So it says shadow root. Okay. And all the syntax highlighting is gone. Darn it. I don't know what happened. Anyway, I'll take a look at what's wrong with the syntax highlighting. These idiots made okay. Messed up the account. Okay. So that said, okay, that I made one more change there. For events, use standard V1 event API. I don't use any of these, so I'm going to skip this. On browsers that lack native Shadow DOM V1 support, Polymer 2.0 is designed to be used with the new Shadow DOM V1 polyfill, which patches native DOM API as necessary to be mostly equivalent to native Shadow DOM. Okay. Note that the new ES6 base class Polymer.element lacks many of the DOM helpers such as get content children, get effective children. I doubt I use this, but I'm going to search for it and see. I'm searching the entire project to see if I have any references to these methods. I don't. Defined on polymer.base. So let me see if I even have any occurrences of polymer.base. Good. I don't even use polymer dot in that polymer.base object. So Polymer encourages the use of native properties and methods where possible. See slot APIs for information on some of the new Shadow DOM related APIs. Okay. The Polymer.flatten nodes observer calls can be used to replace 1.x observe nodes. I don't think I do anything like this. So I don't have any observe nodes methods at all. So I'm going to double check it. So I don't, so it's not a problem for me. So the next one is flattened nodes observer. Oh, okay. So in 2.x, they're saying we can use this, but I don't have a need for it right now. So I'm going to skip that. So looks like if I use, sorry, if I use flattened nodes observer, they're saying I need to import flattened nodes observer.html. So the next one is CSS custom property shim. I think after making all these changes, I doubt my code would have changed any, but let me double check. Yeah, it's a sim. At least the first page, the toolbar is not showing. There are a lot of issues still. So anyway. So going back to CSS custom property shim, Polymer 2.0 continues to use a shim to provide limited support for CSS custom properties on browsers that do not yet natively support custom properties. Currently, only Microsoft Edge and IE. Currently, only Microsoft and okay. So basically, they continue to use a, because a lot of browsers don't support CSS custom properties. They continue to use a shim is what they're saying. And the next one, this lets an element expose. This lets an element expose a custom styling API. The shim is now included as part of the shady CSS polyfill, not in the Polymer library itself. This lets an element expose a custom styling API. Okay. So looks like it'll do a feature detect and then load the shim only if it's needed. Or it'll load the polyfill only if it's needed. For class-based elements, support for custom CSS mixins has been moved to a second optional shim. Okay. The following changes have been made in the shims that Polymer 2.0 uses. The shim always uses native CSS custom properties on browsers that support them. This was optional in 1.x, and it introduces some limitations on the use of mixins. They're saying the shim always uses native CSS custom properties on observers that support them. So looks like even though this shim will use native custom CSS properties if they're available. So in 1.x it was optional. So anyway, so I don't know what that means, but anyway, going to the next bullet point, the next bullet point is saying CSS mixin support has been separated into an optional shim. Okay, so some mixin support has been moved into an optional shim. And the next one they're talking about is the custom style instance property has been removed. The custom style instance property has been removed. Use update styles instead. Okay. So invalid custom property syntax is no longer supported. These changes are described in shadow DOM styles. Okay. Class-based elements. Import the CSS mixin shim. If you are using class-based elements and you're using CSS mixins, import the CSS mixin shim. Class-based elements. Import the CSS mixin shim. Okay. So I'm not using any class-based elements yet. So they're saying if I do, they're saying use CSS mixins, import the CSS mixin shim. Maybe they'll show us what that means really. So the next one is CSS custom properties are becoming widely supported. Okay. CSS mixins remain a proposal. Okay. So CSS mixins are still a proposal. So support for CSS mixins has been moved to a separate shim that is optional for 2.0 class style elements. Okay. For backwards compatibility, the polymer.html import includes the CSS mixin shim. Okay. Whatever that means. So class style elements must explicitly import the mixin shim. Okay. So shim performs a one-time transformation of style sheets containing CSS custom mixins. Where possible, mixins are transformed into individual native CSS properties for better performance. This introduces some limitations to be aware of, which are documented in the Shady CSS polyfill README. Okay, the following examples show how to load the CSS mixin shim. Okay. So they're saying this is how we import the CSS mixin still to the top level. Again, so looks like I have to import custom style also wherever I'm using custom style. So let me see where I'm using custom style. Custom style. In all these places, I need to import custom style. Will it make any difference anywhere? No errors. Okay. Okay, it didn't make any difference, but let me go back here. So, example, importing CSS mix and shim to an element. So they imported a CSS mix and shim, and they're using it here. Okay. I'll have to see how to create a shim to begin with. What does this file have really, and how is it working? Anyway, that's one thing. So the next section, they're talking about all elements. Use update styles instead of custom style. I don't think I have any custom style at all. So let me double check that. So I don't use this custom style property anywhere. Customs, yeah, I don't use the custom style object anywhere. So I don't have to worry about that. I don't think I use update styles either. I'm going to double check that also. Yep, I don't use update styles either. So custom elements API. Polymer 2.0 elements target the custom elements V1 API. All elements. The contracts have changed for several of the lifecycle callbacks. Check and test your code to make sure this doesn't cause problems with your elements. All elements. The contracts have changed for several of the lifecycle callbacks. Check and test your code to make sure this doesn't cause problems with your elements. Okay. All elements, refactor type extension elements as wrapper elements, wrap existing type extension elements. So I don't have any type extension elements. So, but I might be using them. But earlier I thought I have is equals. Okay. So, but because I'm using a legacy element, so looks like this will be okay. I think I'll know as I go through, I will know this, I think. Callback contracts have changed. Polymer 2.0 introduces several changes to the contracts of various lifecycle callbacks. Some of these are required by custom V1 specification, while others are designed to improve performance. Okay. Creation time. Created constructor. The custom V1 specification forbids reading attributes and accessing child or parent information from DOM API from the constructor. Likewise, attributes and children cannot be added. You need to move any DOM work out of the constructor. Defer work until after the constructor completes using set timeout or request animation frame. Move work to a different callback such as attached, connected callback, or ready. Use an observer, slot change event listener, or mutation observer to react to runtime changes. Okay. Ready time. The ready callback for one-time initialization signals the creation of elements shadow DOM. In the case of class-based elements, you need to call super.ready. Okay, before accessing the shadow tree. The major difference between 1.x and 2.0 has to do with the timing of the initial light dome distribution. In the V1 shadow dome polyfill, initial distribution of children into slot is asynchronous to creating the shadow root. The meaning distribution occurs after observers are run and ready is called. Okay. In Polymer 1.0 shim, initial distribution occurred before ready. Okay. To check the initial distribution, use set timeout or request animation frame from ready. The callback should fire after initial distribution is complete. You can use a slot change event listener to react to runtime changes to distribution, but the event listener doesn't fire for the initial distribution. Okay. In order to force distribution synchronously, call shadow dom.flush, shady dom.flush. They can be useful for unit tests in order to force distribution synchronously. Okay. The hybrid or legacy equivalents of the above samples would use the 1.x APIs like get content child nodes or observe nodes. So hybrid element get distribution nodes ready. Okay. This gives me the distributed nodes. You can use observe nodes method to react to changes to distribution. For more details on observe nodes, see observe added and removed children in the Polymer 1 documentation. Okay. So I don't use this method, so I'm going to skip this. In 2.x Polymer DOM flush does not flush observe nodes callbacks. To force the observe nodes callbacks to be invoked, call flush method on the observer object. Okay, so this doesn't apply to me. I'm going to skip that. Attached time, attached connected callback. So if you have any code that relies on element being laid out when attached callback runs, for example, measuring blah, 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 it must wait until the layout is complete. Use the polymer.render status.before next render function to register back after layout is complete, but before page is rendered or painted. Okay. So looks like I have a ton of attached methods. So I'll have to dig in and make changes to all of them, I guess. Whoa, I do a ton of stuff. Is used as this value. Okay. I'm going to go through this boring job of looking at everything and updating it. So you can all come back in like 20 or 20 minutes, and it should be done by that time. To remove, I'm doing some cleanup at the same time. Oh, this won't take that long. It's almost done. Okay, so I made whatever changes they need. Okay, so I made a bunch of those changes. So for work that can be deferred until after the first paint, such as adding event listeners, you can use what did I do here? Use the Polymer before next render function to register a one-time callback after layout is complete, but before the page is rendered or painted. Okay, so I want to actually do a after render, not before render. So I need to do all these things actually. So actually I can just do a search again. Okay. I changed it to after next render. So remove type extension elements. Polymer doesn't support type extension elements such as input is ion input. Okay, all projects, refactor your own type extension elements. I don't have any type extension elements. Replace any top level template elements with 2.0 wrapper equivalents. Okay, I don't have any top level template extension elements, so I should be fine. So refactor type extension elements. Type extension elements need to be refactored into a standard custom element. For example, instead of an element that extends an A element, an element that takes an A element is element in its light DOM. Okay. Convert template extension elements at the document level. Okay, so I don't have any template extensions at the document level, but let me double check and see how my index.html looks. It's my index.html. If I go, I have these two, but I don't have anything else. Okay, so I don't have anything at the top level. Polymer automatically wraps template extensions used in Polymer element templates during template processing. This means you can and should continue using template is equals in templates nested inside a Polymer element template. As shown above, nested templates inside a top level DOM, bind, DOM if, or DOM repeat are also automatically wrapped. Templates used in the main document must be manually wrapped. Okay. Data system. Polymer 2.0 includes several important changes to the data system, detailed in data system improvements. Okay. Remove key paths and polymer.collection. code that interacts with keypads or uses polymer.collection directly won't run in hybrid mode. If upgrading to hybrid mode, you can conditionalize 1.0 code. If upgrading to legacy or class-based elements, you can eliminate this code. Array change notifications for specific items use index paths. Changing the entire array results in a change notification for the entire array. Update observers. Observers need to check for undefined arguments, which was not an issue in 1.x. If all of your observers dependencies have default values, the observer should not be called with undefined arguments. But if your code relies on observer to wait until all dependencies are defined, you need to add undefined checks. If your observer relies on hidden dependencies being initialized, you may need to update your code. Okay. I'm sure I have a ton of observers. Page change dot data change. So looks like I have to handle an extra case here. So if I have to say if page equals to undefined, then return. If it is undefined, I need to return. Oh, see this. I need to check this logic further. So looks like at least I know that I need to make sure I need to handle observers better, I guess. I'll do this to do if these run into problems, but anyway. That said, it's updating of observers. I'll revisit. So the next one is custom property serialization and deserialization. If your element overrides serialize or deserialize methods, these override points have to be renamed serialized value. I don't think I do that, but let me double check. Nope, I don't use these things, so I'll skip that section. The next section is data system miscellany. A few more changes that you may need to take into account. Only properties listed explicitly in properties can be configured from an attribute. You need to explicitly declare your property if both of the following are true. You have a property that's declared implicitly, used in a binding or observer, but not in the properties object. You rely on configuring that property from an attribute, not a binding, not a data binding. They're saying that if I declare anything implicitly, then it's a good idea. So it looks like I need to define it explicitly in the properties object. So because several aspects of timing change, several aspects of timings changed in 2.0, they're saying you'll need to test your code to ensure that it doesn't rely on any 1.x timing. In particular, element initialization is deferred until the element is connected to the main document. So in order for a property to be deserialized from its attribute, it must be declared in the property's metadata object. In order for a property to be deserialized from its attribute, it must be declared in the property's metadata object. Okay. Binding a default value of false using an attribute binding to a Boolean property will not override a default true property of the target due to the semantics of Boolean attributes. In general, property binding should always be used when possible. and will avoid such situations. Okay. So I removed a bunch of APIs. Let me see if we use any of them. No. I'm checking if we use any of the deprecated APIs. Okay, so looks like the removed listeners. So this section, I think for the event handlers, looks like I need to figure out how to do to replace event listeners with I don't think this is directly related to this, but I think I need to this will help in multiple ways, but anyway, I need to do that still. I'll put it in my to-do list. Upgrading to class-based syntax, to define a class-based syntax. So I won't be doing this at this minute. So I don't think this is all needed at this point. Oh, so they're removed. Let me see if I use host attributes anywhere. Okay, I don't use host attributes anywhere. Implement behaviors as mixins that return class expressions, or use the mixin behaviors method to mix hybrid behaviors to your element. Okay. For convenience, underscore ensure attribute is available to set default attributes. Okay. Common utility APIs, that's saying Polymer element provides a cleaner base class without much of the sugared utility API that present on legacy elements. Okay, fire is gone and transform is gone. I don't think we use transform. Okay, we don't use transform anywhere. Fire, I doubt we use fire either. Oh crap. Looks like we use fire in a lot of places. Okay. I'll go ahead and add so I'll replace all occurrences of fire with custom event. So that is one more pending task. So in addition, Many features are still included in the library, but as optional modules or mixin rather than being bundled in polymer.element. For details, see import optional features. So a number of features have been omitted from Polymer element class and packaged as separate optional imports. Array selector, custom style, DOM bind, DOMF, DOM repeat. Polymer render status. What is that? Okay. So looks like I have to import this now. Polymer render status.html element imports are found in Polymer folder under lib elements mixing. Okay. For example, to load the Polymer render module, use the import like this. Okay. So wherever I use this, I need to go and import it, I guess. Hmm. Okay, so looks like whatever I can do is done. So let me see if I refresh, is it worse off or will it better or worse? So at least the home page is the same. I'm sure when I dig into other pages, then so if I say auth, it will start failing, I think. Auth took me back to info home for some reason. So let's say I want to go to the auth home, auth sign in maybe. It doesn't know how to handle that either. Oh, so it's actually console, I think. So console auth sign in. Okay. I go there. Okay. It's basically stuck. So it doesn't know what to do. Oh, it brought up the sign in page finally. So I need to fix these things. So in the next video, I'll go through each and every problem, and then I'll go and fix each and every problem. So at least at a high level, I got some of the stuff done. I have a few more things that are pending, but I will go through them in the next video. I'm going to stop the Hangout now.